hunt fertile female in groups and hound them. Because they are unwilling, the females are often injured during this. Some even die. They will also kill any young that are with the females, just so they can breed. Killing the baby to them is just getting rid of a distraction to the mother, hoping they'll become fertile sooner / more willing to mate. Genetics are brutal. There is such a strong drive to replicate DNA that it will drive animals to murder to remove competitors. This is only really seen in tournament species. Pair bonding species are totally different. There is a lot of altruism in pair bonding, which is neato, but there is still a genetic struggle. In humans, the father contributes genes that pull sugar out of the mother's blood more quickly for the baby, while the mother contributes genes that slows that process down. The logic behind the father's genes, if you will, is I want this baby to be huge and strong, regardless of what happens to the mother, because this is my offspring. Point who knows when I'll have another one. The mother, on the other hand, has a genetic logic like, yeah, this is my offspring, but I'd like to have other offspring, so don't mess me up too much, please. The number one cause of death among pregnant women is murder. Does that mean I now have a smaller chance of being in an accident? Silver linings, you know. Sure, 9 months without alcohol will reduce anyone's chances of accidents. Law. Just a couple of days ago, a town in Poland was absolutely mortified when a body of a pregnant 13-year-old girl was found in the countryside. Culprit, and a supposed father, is a 15-year-old boy. He already confessed, since he isn't 70. Lower limit of legal persecution. He is facing some 3 years in teenagers correctional facility until he turns 18. These facilities are open, by the way, since you cannot convict someone twice for the same crime. That's all. Poor girl must have been through emotional hell last weeks of her life, and her death wasn't quick. From what's been suggested, whole town is suffering. It made national news, and among other things, like same town suffered from deadly gas explosions, wiped out economy and other tragedies. People were tired and are pissed. Honestly, whole country is pissed off at this idiot. A man once had a tapeworm get cancer. That cancer metastasized, and the man died from tumors of tapeworm throughout his entire body. It was once thought for birds, parrots, magpies to learn to talk, you had to release their tongue. This was done by cutting their tongue completely or partly off. Of course, without any anesthesia or painkillers. The tongue release plays absolutely no role in the bird's ability to talk. What was the logic there? Oh, this bird can talk, but it has a tongue, so that must be an issue. Because why are we mutilating birds again? Don't humans have a hard time speaking without a tongue? What are they thinking? According to the World Bank Group, the world produces about 2 billion tons of garbage every year. There is a non-zero maximum threshold for the amount of cockroach that can be present in ground coffee, because it is literally impossible to keep them out entirely. The little girl who voiced Ducky in The First Land Before Time was murdered by her father before the movie came out. Her gravestone says yep. Her name was Judith Bossy, and she was also in Jaws. Poor kid died a horrible death. Didn't know she was in Jaws, but she also did a voice in All Dogs Go to Heaven, a less popular animated movie. She didn't get to see either of them come out, and her mother was in the process of a divorce and trying to get them out. I guess why the father snapped. Greifswald nuclear power plant, 1976. The almost Chernobyl of East Germany, in short, due to a short circuit resulting in a fire. Almost all coolant pumps failed, the New York Times says. Chernobyl-scale nuclear disaster was prevented only when a single water pump in the emergency cooling system was able to draw off pressurized water heated to high temperature by the decay heat left in the reactor's core, thus preventing a meltdown. This incident became public with reunification in 1989. To be honest though, nearly every man-made disaster isn't just one thing that went wrong. It takes a whole series of things to go wrong in a particular order to happen, which is exactly why we build in things like extra fail-safes and code/protocols for engineering. Chernobyl happened because there was a long serious list of failures from the design, in the implantation, to the running of it, to literally doing the opposite, what you were supposed to when she was going wrong. The youngest person to ever give birth to a baby was a 5-year-old little girl. To this day I still wonder, how the F that happened. I think I remember reading that she was born with a fully matured uterus and other sexual organs. Himalayan blackberries can allegedly grow under your skin. Either that or the mountain climbers picking them were just high. Most power outages in the US are caused by squirrels. Those F's are up to something. Despite being the largest mammals, blue whales do not have large a-holes. They defecate with an anus the size of a grapefruit. Which animal has the largest a-hole? Since this not fun fact was copied from r/Tinder. Just gonna paste my response to the same question asked there. As good as the Ormomburn is, I decided to look into this. It seems to be, or at least I couldn't find anything on any animal having a larger one. But we are honestly not sure how large they are, or how much they can stretch. My favorite quote from the article: the rectum or anus of whales escaped scientific scrutiny for centuries. There wasn't still simply no interest in documenting its absolute size, or its capacity for superflatulence. Whalers were much more concerned with how much blood, meat, and blubber the whale could provide. Though whalers sometimes did boast an especially impressive penis, blue whales do not have large a-holes. They defecate with an anus the size of a grapefruit. We now know what /U/Pantiasis in 18 considers a large a-hole. The threat of a deadly bird flu spreading to humans is always there. It takes just a little bit of negligence in screening chickens for this to happen. There exist in the world, at this moment, more juggulus than polar bears. The reason dogs love squeaky toys is because they sound like small animals dying. One of our dogs had one of those fake pregnancies some dogs get, and some wires must have gotten crossed. Because after that, she started treating squeaky toys as if they were puppies, getting hella mad at our other dog when she played with them. Much to the confusion of said other dog, she'd collect all the squeaky toys and put them with her in her basket. She got less extreme with it later on, but she just didn't play with squeaky toys after that. Why do you think cats like the PS noise? It sounds like happy rats. An old roommate had pet rats and they would make a happy little chittering noise when content. Sounded a lot like the noise we use to attract cats. PS. The image that most people have of blobfish is based on a misconception. People think that's what they look like all the time. But blobfish adapted to live in deep waters, which means the deeper you go, the more water pressure there is. Their bodies are not meaty like fish, but more gelatinous, because they adapted to the water pressure. If you accidentally pull them to higher levels, but with less water pressure, their bodies don't handle it well. There's nothing keeping their bodies intact, so their bodies explode. Basically, every photo you've seen of a blobfish where they look big and pink, and, of course, blobby is a photo of a dead blobfish. Merchandise and cartoons designed after what they look like dead. Hell, they're referred to as what they look like dead. Well, I just looked up how they looked like normally, and it's almost unrecognizable. Had to look up a photo, because I'd never heard this before. During WW1, thousands of dogs were taken from families for the war effort, and when the war was over most of them were just shot, because it was cheaper than feeding them for the trip home.